Hey guys, and welcome to the Hobby News. Alright, so we've got our pre-orders up for this week, and it's all Orks, all the way. So yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, green is good. So let's take a look. So this should be this coming Saturday, I guess. So we'll have a look. They've been a long time coming, but the lads is finally here. The latest green wave finally crests next Saturday, when you'll be able to pre-order Codex Orks and all the boys, squigs, and battle wagons you could ever need, including an all-new combat patrol box with 25 miniatures, 24 of which are available for the first time. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So you'll be able to get the Codex. Everything's coming out now, which is great. We have seen some delays in some products for GW over the last month or so for AOS and things like that, namely the Stormcast book and the Ork one, but it looks like they're sort of picking up the speed now. We've got the Ork Codex coming, which is great. So for all those guys that really want that, guys and girls that want that, then you've got a chance for it. So let's take a look. So first up this week, we have the meanest, greenest Orks Codex in history, which sees the greenskins roar into the latest edition of Warhammer 40,000 in fearsome Fettle? I don't know what that means. Fettle? What? Okay, well, whatever. This huge volume contains 61 new and revamped data sheets and includes new rules for crusade campaigns, relics, stratagems, psychic disciplines, and 7 clans, including the piratical freebooters, with upgrades including new darker weapons and that all-important boost to toughness 5 across the board. Orks are a terrifying prospect on the tabletop, as they should be. Yeah. So I think overall this book, so far, for those that have got that early box set with the Codex in it, from everything we're seeing online, it looks like Orks are pretty cool. They're definitely, you've got to dig in and find the juice. You know what I mean? There's definitely some obvious stuff, but there's a lot of not so obvious stuff in there that I think is yet to be seen. And so I guess, the Orks should mature pretty well, I feel, considering that. It's a little bit like, what's some other books that kind of are like that? I guess, no, well, for 40k anyway, I suppose this is one of those few so far anyway that are probably going to do that. I was going to say Death Guard, but not really. They're strong pretty much straight away, although they're not as strong as some of the other books. However, just their core structure is so good that they still manage to compete very well, even though they don't necessarily have all of the bells and whistles like some of the other codexes get, but they still have those core. And I think for Orks it'll be the same thing, considering their toughness is going to 5, and there's a lot of key elements that have been upgraded and updated for the Orks that I think, very similarly to the Death Guard book, they're probably going to just stay competitive for quite some time without being like over the top. They're not going to like come out of the gate like, wow, Orks are just, beating everyone. I don't think that's how it's going to be. I just think that they're always going to be competing. They're always going to be in that top 10. They're always going to be around, and you're going to see good players do well with them, and you're going to see interesting builds, because I think there is a bit of depth in there, just judging by, what the community's up to with them and the various conversations that are around about them. I feel like they can be pretty good in the right hands. And so we should see, I think, very similarly to Death Guard, in that they're just going to be, a solid competitor. And I think that's really cool. I mean, I could be wrong, but from what I've been hearing, that's kind of the idea, is that they do have some good stuff in there. It's not on the same level as something like, I guess, Drukhari or the AdMech stuff, but then nothing really should be on that level. That's a little bit too far forward, like a little bit too strong. At least in their initial iterations, they're slowly being pegged back in, but it's taking a while. But for the Orks, I think it's a pretty strong book, and I'm happy for them. If they do end up being really super strong, I think that's really cool. I think I said it the first time we started talking about this. Orks have never had their day. They've never been top of the pile. They've never, for a faction that loves fighting, it's pretty funny that they've never actually been on top, like ever. I think maybe for a minute, like in 3rd edition or something, with Ork Warbikes and a few other things, maybe they were pretty good for a minute, but you know, they've never really had a dominant position. So I'm hoping they do end up being really dominant and taking over the meta for a little while, because they deserve it. And Orc players are so much fun to play against. You know, they always having a good time, just like their Orc book. You know, they really do embody the book itself. And, you know, has anyone ever versed someone with Orcs will say it's always a good time, right? It's always a bit of fun. And I think that's really cool. And so I really do hope that they do well. So let's take a look at what they've got on offer for this pre-order release. So we've got the Combat Patrol here. You know, it's pretty good. You've got like a bunch of boys in there. I'm not sure how multi-pose or how convertible these will be, considering the newer style plastics, but they are really cool. I do really like them. So, you know, and that shouldn't stop Orc players. Orc players play Orcs to do all the conversion, the kit bashing. I'm sure that no matter how monopose these are, they're going to be easy enough for them to chop them up and do whatever they want with them. You know, that's not going to stop you. That the part of the reason why you play Orcs is to muck around with all of that and just, you know, put whatever kit you like, bash together into it to make a new Orc. You know, that's part of the fun. And I love that they've redone these Death Copters. I think they're really cool. I think that's like one of those elements of Orcs that has always been a fun, you know, concept, and I'm glad that they're still around and that they've given them a new fresh look, which is great. And you even got the dreadies in the back there, and the new Warbus is cool. I can see a lot of conversions. I would have preferred the claw on this guy, but they're easy conversions to do. He's in a good pose. It's pretty easy to just take that weapon off and do whatever you like. You know, I mean, I don't know whether the weapon options allow it these days. I'm pretty sure that you should still be able to take a claw. I haven't seen a lot of the new codex rules, only briefly online, so I'm not sure what other options he's got, or at least for this particular version of Warboss. But surely they can have a claw. So, you know, that maybe it's in the kit, who knows. But overall, like they're really cool. And if you were to mix in some of that new Kill Team stuff, those models, those commando models, and do a bunch of conversions, you know, there's so many good choices there. So, you know, that's pretty nice. I think everything in this kit is stuff that you would probably use in an Orc army. I know that most of the more competitive stuff is generally around shootier builds and sort of vehicle builds and stuff like that with the buggies and so on. At least in some cases. So I don't know how much like horde lists are going to do well, but you know, you're going to need at least 10 boys, so you've got enough there to get you going. So that's really cool. And then obviously the new kids on the block here, you know, they're obviously they have good rules. They're nicely sculpted. They're cool. I've always liked the more sort of feral looking Orcs. I think they're good, and I really love the combination of, as I've said it before, of this sort of, they've almost got better tech than the normal Orcs do, which is really interesting. So it's a really unique kind of juxtaposition of brutal and savage with this high tech stuff, because they have all the bionics and everything, and these sort of more sort of sculpted forms on their armor, which is really interesting. I actually really do like it. I think it's a unique, I guess, design choice for Orcs, and something that you don't often see in really any IP or fantasy genre, and so I think the sculptors and the designers are playing around with some interesting ideas, and it bodes well for the future. Not right now, but let's say in 3 to 5 years' time, to see where this type of design direction might lead in the future as things continue. It could be really interesting for the Orcs. You know, we could see some quite fun stuff. That'd be really, really cool. So yeah, all in all, a beautiful kit, and Orc players must be happy with that. I can't imagine they wouldn't be. And then there's great looking thing. So, you know, like I love everything about this. This is just very Orky. It's keeping in theme with the Warhammer style of Orc. You know, everything about it is cool, and this little squig on the top here is just hilarious. That's just great. And so I'm glad to see that Warhammer, you know, has continued on with the heritage of Orcs, and, you know, making sure that they stay, you know, English soccer hooligans, you know, football hooligans. That's part of their background, and I think that if they ever lose that, it'll be a sad day for all players, I think, because that's part of like why you love them so much, because they're just out for a good time, right? They're just there to have a fight, and it's great. So that's really cool. This should be a fun kit to convert and muck around with. I don't think any of these kits are going to stay stock in most people's lists. They're going to be chopping them up and doing all kinds of things, so you should as an Orc player. And this model as well, really, really cool. this beast boss, you know, just a fun model again, all the wacky hair and everything. There's so much you can do with that. And again, I love the bionics on these new feral orcs. They're so good. This type of limb here is just really, really cool and very unique. There's not a lot of other factions that have stuff like this, so this could be really great, like to chop up for like a, you know, like a some sort of like Dark Mechanicus kind of thing. I could see part of this being used as that if you just took the head off and mucked around with this a little bit. There's some interesting options here. You know, there's a lot of interesting options in this range, and then obviously the Squig Riders here, they're just so good. It's such a great idea. You know, I mean to bring this into 40k from fantasy and have these Squig Riders is just awesome. You know, and again, what orc player wouldn't want to have these? I don't really know. Especially this little gobbo on the on the little squig with the wheel there. That's just hilarious. I really like it. In terms of like whether it's orcs or goblins, I like, for me anyway, I love the goblins more. I think like all of the little Gretchen and goblin stuff is by far the most fun out of all the orc stuff. I think that's where you get the most interesting characters. These little guys hanging off the side, and you know, and you can tell the sculptors have so much fun sculpting them because they put so much character into them. They're almost stealing the show from the main models. You know, like these are all kind of serious orcs. Then you have these little, you know, crazy gobbos on the side. You know, it's a lot. It's cool. It's really, really cool. And then we have the battle wagon. So apparently this battle wagon, it says here that they're going to add in, I think it's got all the options now to create whatever battle wagon you want. That probably means it's also going to increase in price, but it does say that it has all the different choices. So it's a question that's befuddled orcish philosophers for millennia: battle wagon, bone breaker, or gun wagon. You can now wrestle with this eternal conundrum for yourself, because the existing battle wagon kit is being repackaged to include the upgrade sprue that lets you soup it up with a death roller or cannon. So that's pretty awesome. So that means you can pretty much do what you like. So I guess before it didn't have those options, but now it does. So yeah, good and bad. It's going to be more expensive, but at least you have everything in the one kit. So that's kind of nice, right? So yeah, really cool, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of conversions. I mean, there's so many. I don't really know why you'd even buy this, really, to be honest with you, because as an orc player, this is the penultimate conversion possibility, right? You go into a hobby store and pick a bunch of kits from random companies, you know, tanks and trucks and buggies from all kinds of different like scale models, and then you just bash them together with a bunch of, you know, Games Workshop stuff and make your own wagon. That's really the fun of orcs, right? So I don't know how many people actually use this kit to make their wagon from, but if you are doing that, then at least you've got all the options to do it. So that's nice. And then we have obviously the usual paraphernalia. You got the dice and the cards, which is nice. And then finally the the War Boss hut or whatever this is, which is cool. You know, it's nice. It's kind of hard, I guess, to sort of sell orc terrain. I don't know, I've noticed many people talk about this, but that's a hard sell because orcs are so convertible and so easy to make terrain for. I mean, it's just ramshackle stuff all thrown together. So you could easily make one of these, which is, you know, it's not a very hard thing to make. It's a pretty simple object. So it's I'm curious to see how many people actually will buy this as opposed to just making their own, because that's again part of the fun of doing orcs, is to make your own stuff, because it's like in the lore. It's like part of how they are. So, you know, I don't know how many of these they're going to sell, but, you know, it's nice they've got it, I guess, for those that are new and don't have those modeling skills. They just want to buy the thing and paint it up, and that's great. So all in all, a really, really cool offering. It's nice to see orcs getting some love, you know, and just getting that little bit of extra oomph to get them through 9th edition, and I hope they do well. I really do. So if you've enjoyed this, please hit that like button, subscribe button. It really helps me out, and I guess I'll catch you on the next one.